Hello, readers of the Star. We've got one of the most iconic footballers of his generation, in fact, of any generation, and UK's most decorated footballer, Mr. Ryan Giggs here. Ryan,
Hi.
welcome.
Thank you.
Welcome
Good
to
to
our
be here.
podcast. I'll get straight to it. So, you've been to Malaysia a few times now,
Yes,
right?
yeah.
And even back in 2000, probably was that your first time back in 2000?
I think I was here late 90s.
95.
Yeah.
Yes, in 95. So, since Malaysia is kind of familiar to you right now, what would your favorite food be?
Ooh, good question. I've sampled quite a bit of the local food actually, but I remember getting on, I think one of my first flights, and they were serving satay, beef satay, chicken satay,
right,
so
yeah.
not too spicy, but a little bit spicy.
Okay.
So I've always had a soft spot for satay. The flight over today, we had the same, so yeah.
Excellent. Okay, good. So, welcome back. Good to have you back with us. You're coming at a time, as a United fan, where the team isn't doing that well, but what do you attribute United's malaise to? This drop in form, 18 games in the Premier League now lost, which is going back to when they were relegated in the early 70s. So they've really hit a bad run of form, but what do you attribute it to, really?
I think it's an accumulation over time, really, over the last, I would say, 8-9 years in recruitment, and obviously the change of managers as well. So you have managers coming in who likes a player, the next manager coming in who doesn't like the player. So you have players from different regimes costing a lot of money, not playing or not performing, and then all of a sudden you have a team of players that just aren't a system or aren't a philosophy and aren't used to winning. They've not got that feeling of consistency and of winning and that feeling. So yeah, I think it's a difficult time at the moment. It's a long road back. We will be back, I've no doubt. It's just a matter of when.
Okay. Interesting that you mentioned that the players probably aren't used to a certain system or not used to winning, because I remember, you were an integral part of the class of 92, and when you broke into the team, you had big figures like Brian Robson, Paul Ince, Steve Bruce, and do you think that the current batch of young players, people like Chido Obi, people like Harry Amas, do you think they need that? They're coming into a team that isn't doing well, and you don't have those big characters. Big characters actually lead the young ones on. Do you think that's the current situation?
Yeah, it's hard to know without actually being in the training ground or around the team. I think you have good pros in the team, but like you just mentioned, when I came into the team, Brian Robson, Steve Bruce, Mark Hughes, Brian McClare, Schmeichel, Paul Ince, just so many
Great
characters, but winners as well, and just you could see that every day in training. They wanted to win the small-sided games, they wanted to win in training every day, and I come into that environment, and all of a sudden I had to jump up to that. I had to elevate to my playing, my performances, my consistency to their level. Otherwise, I would have fallen away.
Right.
So it's very difficult to compare eras and compare teams, but I was lucky in that I come into an environment that was really sort of, and sometimes clashing with each other. But ultimately, you go out on the Saturday, you're same as you're part of the same team. But now it's a different era. It's a different mentality. It's a different world, really. But somehow we need to get that back, because I agree. You need the young players coming through, but also you need them young players to aspire to the older players.
Right. But United have always had this tradition, this history of blooding youngsters coming to the side, way back from the time of the Busby Babes, back to your era, Fergie's Pledgings. And you see that continuing? We've got some good young players coming from the academy now. Do you see that continuing?
Yeah, I mean I do, but it's difficult because they're coming into an environment where instantly the pressure is on, and every game for Man United is big anyway, but every game it seems at the moment a lot of criticism, and it's not easy for a young player to come into that environment. And when you're not winning, your confidence, you maybe not do things that you did in the youth team or the reserves, so it is difficult. And like I say, we will come back, but at the moment it is difficult for a young player to come into the team because of the lack of consistency.
Exactly, right. See, and 11 years ago, almost to the date, was your last competitive football game.
Right.
19th of May 2014, correct?
Right.
Your last game. You must miss it. I mean, you're still relatively young, still as good looking.
No,
you must miss it.
Yeah, do you know what? I obviously played until I was 40, so and I was in the team when I was 17. So at the time, I was ready to sort of finish. I felt like I'd done everything, and I was ready for the next stage of my career. But I think what you miss sort of, we've got a final. You miss the big games. You miss the big games at Old Trafford, the Champions League games, and also you miss training. Football is the best job in the world. Going in every day, playing football, some with your friends. So I miss that. I miss the big games, and I miss going in every day at training.
Okay. How do you keep yourself fit? You still look fit. What do you do?
Difficult. I think the main thing is just watching your diet. I think when you play, you've always got an excuse to maybe not eat the wrong foods or have too many beers or wine. When you finish, you haven't got an excuse anymore, so you can indulge, you can have a few drinks, and it's just mainly just concentrating on what you eat really. And I've always been pretty disciplined with that. And also, I like to play paddle, I like to play five-a-side still. I'm lucky, I've got no injuries, I've got no bad knees, no bad ankles, no aching joints. So I'm still able to exercise at a pretty high level.
I read that when you were at your peak in the 90s and the 2000s, you turned to yoga to maintain your flexibility. Do you still do that?
No.
No?
It was the hardest thing that I did. So I did it purely because it was good for me. It was good for me. It was good for my career. My injuries got less and less. My availability for games and training become more and more. So yoga was really, really good for me physically and spiritually and mentally to prepare myself to be a footballer. But it was hard, and I am not flexible. So you have to be quite flexible to do yoga. So as soon as I finish, I've done Pilates, I've done a little bit of yoga, but I don't like it. But the feeling it gives me is really good. But if I choose to exercise, I'd rather play golf or play paddle or play five-a-side rather than do yoga.
Okay. Your last managerial job was 2022. Okay. And I understand that you're a director of football for Salford.
Yeah.
But somewhere in the near future, is there a managerial role for Ryan Giggs?
Yeah, I hope so. I mean, I loved my time with Wales. I loved working under Louis van Gaal as assistant at United. And I'm still, as a coach, relatively young. So, yeah, I still hope to still have aspirations to be a manager. And, feel I've got a lot to offer.
And you've got your UEFA Class A license, right? Which allows you to coach anywhere in Europe.
Yeah, I did that while I was still playing. So I did all my badges while I was still playing. 39, I got my pro license, where you can coach, manage anywhere. I was always conscious that while I was still playing, I was always looking for the next step and preparing myself. So, I'm ready to go.
Okay. If you are a United fan of a certain age, like I am, you'll always have your particular favorite Ryan Giggs goal. Mine was obviously the 1999 FA Cup semi-final replay. That to me, I can still replay the goal in my head. But what's your favorite goal for United?
I enjoyed that goal so much, purely it was a good goal, but the occasion as well. And you know, you want to score. I scored many sort of goals where I dribble, but probably none that was more important. And when you score important goals, there's the winning goal and makes a difference, and it's a good goal as well, then yeah, I think that's always something special.
Okay. I mean, you scored lots of goals during your career. Would you have a particular a trophy or title that you look back on and think this is it? Was it the 99 treble, perhaps?
I think growing up as a United fan and not winning the league for so long, that first league was special, and it gave you the confidence. And especially the year before, we'd lost to Leeds so narrowly, and I was so disappointed that I couldn't wait to get back for pre-season the next year and not have that feeling that I had after that season ended. So when we eventually won the league and we were playing Blackburn at home and the whole stadium is buzzing and your friends and your family are there, that was a real special trophy.
Remember, you scored a free kick.
Scored a free kick, yeah.
That's a great goal too.
Yeah.
Okay, and fast forward to the present and the United side. You've got a big game coming up in a few days' time.
Yeah.
I want to put you on the spot. What do you think is going to happen?
Yeah, I do. It's strange because we've been so poor in the league, but so good in Europe. You know, I think we're the only unbeaten team in Europe in all the competitions. So I don't know if it's Ruben's tactics or if it's just the players have just. It's sort of a release, a sort of escape from the domestic game, and they just embrace it and enjoy it. Of course, you need a bit of luck and late drama, which we had against Lyon. But yeah, the team have looked really good in Europe. So I think we'll be okay. I mean, it'll be a tough game because Tottenham, especially the last few years, have had better results against us. But I always fancy us in the final.
Okay. Can I just ask, is it true or is it like one of those urban legends? Before every Spurs game, Sir Alex comes into the dressing room and says, "Lads, it's only Tottenham." Is that true?
It was said a few times, yeah. I think Roy had said it and Sir Alex had said it. I think historically when we went to White Hart Lane, they'd always had, you know, Hoddle, Gascoigne, Ginola, sort of these flair players, but they didn't have a Roy Keane or a bit of steel behind them. So they were historically, we always enjoyed playing them, and they liked to play football. So we knew that we were in for a football game, but they didn't really have that. We had footballers in the team, but also that steel as well, which they were probably lacking. So I always enjoyed playing against Tottenham because it was always really good, enjoyable football games, but we were always confident we could beat them.
Awesome. And after that, United have one final game, home game against Aston Villa, and they take a flight immediately after that and they come to Malaysia. Yeah. One last question for the friendly. You've played many friendlies over your career and in Malaysia also. How would the lads view a friendly game like this? Or how did you view a friendly game when you were going into a pre-season?
Yeah, I think it's the overall experience really, where you're going rather than the game, because it's very difficult to sort of, the humidity and the heat to train properly, and the game obviously is going to be hot and it's the end of the season. I think it's more the experience of coming to another country, seeing the fan base, interacting with the fans, and just trying to enjoy yourself really, trying to get out and see Kuala Lumpur if you can. And yeah, just try and enjoy the experience rather than the football. Of course, the football's a big part of it, but for me, it was always about getting fit because it was pre-season. This is slightly different because it's at the end of the season.
Correct.
So I would rather just, the lads, hopefully they've won the Europa League, they're in the fingers crossed, they're in the Champions League, and they can embrace it and enjoy themselves.
Okay, cool. I think that's about it for the podcast.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
Nice to meet you. Thank you. Thanks
Enjoy your next few days in
Thank you.
Malaysia.
Thanks. Cheers. Thanks.